Hi, Mr. Bailey. I'm Jesse. I'll be your social worker for today. Would you prefer I call you Mr. Bailey or Todd?
Todd's fine.
Todd, you got it. Okay, so before we begin, I wanted to let you know about our confidentiality. What that means is everything we say today will be between the two of us. There are exceptions, however. They are if you are an immediate harm to yourself or others, and if you are abusing either children, the elderly, anything like that. So, does that sound okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent. Okay, so another question. Do you mind if I take notes while we speak today? So, Todd, what brings you in today?
Court order.
Court order. Got it.
Yeah, I don't even want to be here.
I understand. I understand. It must be hard to be here, especially when you don't want to. But I want to thank you for your efforts to be here today and to show up, regardless of whether you want to be here or not. So that takes a lot. That's a big step. So thank you. So why were you mandated to come here today? What seems to be some of the issues you're working with?
Well, I'm in a gang.
Okay.
I'm well known, and get into some fights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So fighting seems to be why you're here. So I take it you were arrested then and brought here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you, from what I'm gathering, you'd like to work on anger management, something of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm just going to start off by asking you a couple questions. What we're doing is this is called the biopsychosocial spiritual assessment, and what it does is just has a list of questions I can ask you to better assess your situation, where you are physically, mentally, and things of that nature. So, to start off, how is your current health?
I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, really haven't been to any doctors or anything like that. So, I mean, in my book, if I don't have to go to doctors, I'm all good.
Okay. So to kind of add on to that, so you're sleeping well, you're eating well, things of that nature?
I stay up late at night,
Okay.
getting into, things.
Right. So how many hours would you say you're sleeping about?
5,
5
4.
hours.
Sometimes I got to get up and, handle business.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, do you have any past medical conditions I should know about? Have you been to a therapist before? Have you anything of
No,
that?
no therapist. I mean,
Okay. No
I,
medications?
no medications either.
Okay. Okay. Well, good to know. Um, Moving on. So how about any substance use? And that could range from caffeine to tobacco, drinking, marijuana, etc. Anything of that nature
Oh,
that,
definitely. I drink and smoke. I mean,
okay,
party, recreational. Sometimes to relax and cope.
right,
It's whatever.
okay, okay. Now, about how often do you think you drink or smoke marijuana?
Oof. It's probably a daily thing. Like I said, I mean, I use it to reward myself. I use it to relax. Use it socially. You name it.
Okay, okay. And a quick follow-up with that, do you think that using daily would play into to the anger issues that you're seeing and why you're here today?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, when I drink, it usually gives me a little bit more courage to step out and, put my foot down.
Right, right. Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. Okay. Now, how have you been when it comes to stressful situations? Do you have any past experiences that would cause you to experience anger or anxiety? Anything like that? Any past occurrences? Perhaps a loss of somebody? Anything traumatic, perhaps?
Well, growing up, my dad was in and out of prison, but when those times he wasn't locked up, he would show me how to be a man. So a lot of that revolved around not letting anybody push you around, taking charge, asserting yourself, and just in general getting respect that way.
Okay. Okay. So, did your dad teaching you how to, in your words, be a man? Did that trigger any sort of stressful events or any traumatic feelings?
Yeah, I have to say it did, because some things I didn't understand.
Right.
I didn't understand why I had to become angry at a drop of a dime, or confrontational.
Okay.
But now I understand why.
Okay. Right. Can you elaborate a little bit on that, about why?
Well, I mean, it's like I said, it's about respect, and it's about people not taking advantage of you. So the way I see it is, if I'm aggressive, that's going to make people back up,
Right.
make people think twice.
Okay. Okay. So from what I understand, it was a stressful event in your life. Your father teaching you how to react, how to be a physically intimidating person.
Yeah.
Even though later in life you say it kind of guided you and helped you put yourself in this world, place yourself in this world, and protect against others. Okay, thank you. More about your mental well-being. Have you ever felt any need to well, you mentioned it, but harm others or harm yourself, in fact?
I don't think I wanted to harm myself. I know some of the things that I do is risky, so people say, that's kind of like putting myself in a position that will cause myself some harm, but other than that, it's just about other people and not letting people push me around or disrespect me in any form.
Okay. Okay, but no wanting to hurt yourself, nothing like that.
Nothing suicidal. I've been angry with myself before. I may have mentioned it once or twice, it to myself.
Right.
That's about it.
That's understandable too, because I know we can all get angry with ourselves and not be satisfied with where we're at in life. So very common. Have you ever felt any what we would call impaired functioning? Any maybe lapse in memory or judgment or your reality as a whole? Do you feel like you have been ever disconnected from that or anything like that, or generally?
I think I'm pretty connected. It's just when I'm under the influence, heavily under the influence, I think my judgment is impaired.
Right.
So, yeah, sometimes some of my decisions are they can be impulsive, like first thought, what I'm going to do, I'm just doing it.
Got it.
So
Todd, during this time, do you feel that you have any coping mechanisms to deal with the times that are stressful, the times that are tough? Anything positive that can help aid in this time of struggle?
no, I was taught to keep my emotions inside, and anything else as far as coping, I find it in the bottle, or when I'm using marijuana. So
Right.
that's how I get down. That's how I cope.
Okay. Besides the alcohol and the drinking for coping mechanisms, do you have any personal strengths that you take pride in? Anything that you feel you're very good at that can help again aid you in any of this process or just in life in general?
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm really proud about, I love my children, and I'm around for them,
Okay.
and I think that I'm doing a better job than what my dad did for me. Even though I'm in and out of prison, jail, I think that I impact him in a different way than how I was impacted with my own father. So that's something that I hold dear. And yeah.
That's excellent. I'm very happy to hear that, Todd. I'm very happy to hear that. As far as your background is concerned, do you ever feel that your ethnic background, your ethnicity, I mean, it could be anything, your sexual orientation, anything that describes who you are as a person. Do you feel that those are a strength in your life or a weakness? And if you could speak a little bit to those.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like some people you don't choose, what family you're born into. So I think this is an opportunity that was given me. And I know it's not a great opportunity, it's not a great circumstance, but it's mine. So I see that as my strength. I'm able to take that and at least do something with it, even though I know there's, so much more out there.
So do you feel that, so you don't feel that it has held you back in any way?
Well, not having my dad there really helped, guide me. My mom was working a lot, so that means, there was lapses in as far as maybe parental, guidance or supervision. I didn't get a lot of schoolwork done.
Okay.
I didn't have to.
When did he leave?
Well, like I said, he was in and out of prison up until I was about 6 years old, from what I can recall. Some stuff, I just thought I didn't know where he was. And then after 6, didn't see him since.
Okay. And do you feel that the lack of your father being around and being in prison, do you feel like that has played out negatively in your life and informed some of your decisions later on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
It's hard for me to establish meaningful relationships because I did not have that initial relationship with my father, and then the relationship with my mother was strained because she was just trying to work, keep the bills paid, keep, food in our stomach and whatever else she had to do in her life. So as far as me establishing intimate relationships for myself, it's very difficult to do that. Even when somebody gets close, I usually screw up the relationship because I get angry or a lot of self-doubt, and it just makes me uncomfortable having those relationships, which I know is not good.
Yeah. Well, if I can say, it sounds like you have a great relationship with your mother, and so that is at least one strong person in your life that you can connect with. So I see that as a wonderful, wonderful strength. I know we just talked about your mother and father a little bit, but to extend the definition of family, who you think are family, it could be friends, it could be work associates, it could be any number of people. I know you mentioned that you were in a gang, and do you feel that they are your family, or who would you define as your family?
Yeah, those are my brothers, those are my sisters for sure.
Okay.
Okay. So
now I know you came in for anger issues, for fighting, for things of that nature, but from what I gather, you are finding strengths within your gang because they're providing a family that perhaps you didn't have before. They're giving you something. Do you feel that is true?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Kind of on the flip side, do you feel that there are stressors, that there are negative consequences for the bond you've built with this gang? Can you think of any downsides? Can you think of any unfortunate occurrences, events, connections with them?
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying before, being a part of a gang, and I don't want to give up all the secrets, but being a part of the gang, you're going to run into a lot of misfortune when it comes to the legal system.
Okay.
So obviously when I'm hanging out, with my folks, usually there's some kind of illegal activity or talking about, participating in some illegal activity.
Okay.
So that comes with the territory.
Right. Now, you mentioned that there is trouble kind of emanating from being with this group. So do you feel that your gang is creating a hostile environment and perhaps perpetuating the cycle of violence, and part of the reason why you're here? Do you feel that they are continuing, do you feel like they are adding to your growth as a person, or they are keeping you down? I know they're your family, I know you're close, but do you feel that they are negatively impacting you?
Yeah, well, I can definitely say being around them and doing the things that we do always leads me right back to lockup.
Right.
Or somewhere in a bad situation where, you know, I'm threatened or my family's threatened, and I always got to look over my shoulder, keep that in the back of my mind that I'm never safe. I'm never just truly safe.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're very aware of the situation you're in and how delicate it can be, how close you are to let's say trouble or to anger, because the group kind of backs that up in you.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you mentioned you have 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a significant other? Do you have a partner, a wife that you are currently with?
I'd rather not say. I have. It's rough times, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gathering she may not be so in the picture.
Right.
Gathering. Okay,
Right.
well, that in itself is extremely tough.
Yeah.
You know, if you are raising these kids without the help of any partner, I mean, that alone can provide a stressful, anxious environment
Yeah.
that may add to your anger. So.
Yeah.
Okay. How about in employment? Are you currently employed? Have you been employed?
I've been employed before, like when I first got out of high school, just at the Wendy's,
Okay.
you know. But when you get a record, so you're arrested for something, they convict you, and that's on your record. Even basic background checks make it pretty difficult to even flip burgers at McDonald's or something, man.
Absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned a job out of high school. Any further employment after that? What was your current employment? Let's start there.
Well, I mean, I was involved in some illegal activity to provide,
Okay.
which I'd rather not get into too much detail about, but it wasn't your regular 9 to 5.
Okay, so some illegal activities
Yeah.
to. Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate you being forthcoming about all of this. It's not easy, especially for someone you don't know. You know. So again, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're, even if it's involuntary, you're taking the steps to improve your life. You know. How about school? I know you mentioned after high school you took a job, fast food. Did you finish high school?
Yeah, I actually finished. I didn't get a diploma. I eventually, got my GED. So I kind of dropped out senior year. Just got tired of going and wanted to live kind of the fast life. But I did end up getting my GED through a program when I was locked up the first time.
Okay. Well, that's a wonderful accomplishment. You know, I think you should be very proud that you decided to finish your education and get your GED in general, because that's a big step. You know. I know when it comes to employment, even just having your high school diploma or GED can increase your pay when it comes to work. So you're ahead of the curve already. How did you feel like you did in school? Did you enjoy it while you were there? I mean, I know you mentioned wanting to kind of leave towards the end, but was it a good experience or kind of a bad one?
Yeah, you know what? At the time, I was a lot younger, so I wasn't really focused on what the teachers were talking about. There are certain things I remember,
Right.
but I wasn't really focused. But now, I reflect, and it's like school was a good thing.
Yeah.
And if I would have maybe made some different decisions, my life would be different.
Right. Well, I want to say that it's never too late. You seem like a very bright individual, and if you so choose to go back to school and further correct your life, there are opportunities to do so. A little bit about legal history. You mentioned that you were sent here involuntarily.
Yep.
So I know you've been involved with the court. I know you mentioned being arrested. What were your past legal issues. I know you
Mhm.
didn't kind of want to get into it too much, but
Okay.
has this been an ongoing thing?
Yeah.
Uh, when was the first when was the first time, let's say, you got in trouble with the law?
Kind of near in my senior year before I dropped out, I was opening up, robbing people's cars, taking their radios. You know, if they got the enhanced radio system with the sub woofer and all the sounds, I would take that and then go sell it.
Okay. So some petty theft
Yeah.
type situations.
Yeah.
Okay, and then kind of post high school to currently, was it mostly? Can you elaborate on that a bit, and
hmm
maybe what your experiences were with the legal system, and kind of how that's carried out since high school?
Yeah. So it started off with petty theft, you know, substance use, smoking marijuana, drinking. That's always, you know, kind of been my thing. That's one thing my dad taught me and what I saw him do. And when I got locked up in detention centers or jail, what have you, it turned into more of gang activity because you got to join a gang when you get in there. So that's where I established my gang ties, how to make a name for myself through violence. So I always was angry for some reasons we talked about, but the physical outbursts came in prison, you know, when I had to kind of establish who I was and what I was going to be.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that although you started with some low crimes,
Mhm.
that once you got to prison,
Yeah.
once you got to jail, that it worsened the issue because you had to establish yourself
Yeah.
as a threat, as somebody to be feared, as
Yep.
somebody to not mess with.
Yep.
And so that kind of pushed your days of crime and anger to its peak.
Yeah. That's right.
If I may ask, is there any group that you're associated with, let's say a church or a specific, could be a religion, it could be anything spiritual in nature that kind of gives you meaning or purpose or hope for tomorrow, that things won't always be this way? Is there anything like that in your life that you kind of work with?
Well, you know, um, my grandma always used to drag me to church. You know, so those times where obviously I wasn't locked up or out there running around the streets, she always say, "Why don't you come to church? Always invite me." You know, and it was you know, Christian-based community, and you know, sometimes I would go, and it'll make me feel good because the message was, in fact, was different than, you know, the message I was putting out on the streets was fear me through violence,
Right.
and you know, the message I was getting through church is that, you know, everyone is loved and is saved, and you know, there's peace. First time I heard that, my life isn't peaceful.
So from what I gather, part of the church and part of the community gave you strength, gave you a bigger sense of purpose perhaps, and a community to excuse me, to relate with
hmm
and to be involved with. Are you currently still a spiritual or religious person? Are you still currently going to church or involving yourself in any of that?
I go when I can. I pick up the Bible here and there, but I do believe, because I know that there's something different. You know, I know that there's something different, a different way to live life than how I've carried it out.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it sounds like you have a big awareness of change in your life, a wanting to change, of knowing that there are possibilities for you, and not just a life of crime or of anger.
yeah.
I sense that you want to change. I know it's involuntary. I know you hear, you know, because you don't necessarily want to be, but it seems that perhaps you are ready to kind of take the next step into succeeding in this life and to getting away from the violence and the anger. Um, would you agree or disagree with that?
No, hey, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. This kind of lifestyle only lasts so long. I'm getting tired of it.
Are there any? I know it can bring strengths to your life, but are there any stressors that your faith brings you? that may add to your current situation, to the anger, to the stress, to.
Well, I mean, in some of those messages when I would go to church, we would talk about sinning and hell if you die. And with my lifestyle, sometimes I feel unworthy because I know the things that I do. And if I go out like that, I know what my destination will be. So sometimes I think about that, and it kind of pushes me away from picking up that Bible, because I know I have to do what I have to do to earn some income.
So it's almost like living with two personalities, so to speak. On one hand, you enjoy the church, you enjoy the message it brings, but on the other hand, you have to survive. You have to make your way in this world and perhaps put some of those teachings aside just to survive. Well, if I could recap a little bit, it sounds like although you came in, like I said, involuntarily, you do show signs of wanting to change your life around. Although initially you said you don't have many coping mechanisms or strengths, it sounds like the family, your mother specifically, has always been a strength for you, has always been there for you. Your kids are a strength for you, and the church, the spirituality aspect of your life has given you some sort of purpose, at least in the back of your mind.
Yes.
It's always with you.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for coming in today. I want to thank you for being so open and so honest. I think the assessment went well, and I hope to see you next time with our next meeting. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Man, you did a fantastic